I love your 1976 Calgary Stampede poster.
Right? There's a bunch of them.
I feel like it's fitting. There's nothing exciting to show you at the moment, but I'll turn the computer around and let you know where I am. But right now I feel like I'm just like in a beer commercial.
Yeah, you're very windswept.
My hair's blowing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With your little travel mug.
Mm-hmm. Here, I'll try to show you where I'm at. Okay. Can you see?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that guy right there, he's called the Pickup Man.
Oh.
Which always probably would excite really both of us at the thought of that. But
I was going to say.
They're running so before the rodeo, they run all the stock through to just basically to show them and train them where the gates are and where they're supposed to go. So when they open up, they know where to run, and they do this with everybody before the rodeo begins.
Huh. Wow.
So there you go. That's your little rodeo history, or not history, just rodeo lesson this morning.
That's what they do. I mean, that's what we do, at the club when 2 a.m. comes on.
You gotta run the steers out the door.
Oh, we run the steers or all the way out. Like,
gosh, somebody's calling the phone that I'm stealing Wi-Fi from. Shh. Okay. Jim's here. Good morning, Jim. Cheryl's here. Angie's here. Good morning. Helen, Candace, Trellis.
Oh my gosh, there's so many people.
I know. They're all rolling in. It's Friday. It's Fuck It Friday, Tom. Everybody shows up on Fuck It Friday.
That's right. It's Fuck It Friday.
Someone asked if I'm in Millerville. No, I'm in Hand Hills, Alberta, which on the map is also known as Craigmile, which is basically in the middle of nowhere, outside of Drumheller and Hannah, near a very small town called Delia. And they have their Hand Hills Lake Stampede this weekend.
Huh.
So there you go. I'm live from the rodeo, and you're about to have a wild weekend too.
We sure are. But it's what I love about Pride Month, because it always kicks off rodeo season, and it's just the two couldn't be more different, but more of the same.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some interesting polar opposites, but I always look at that as a great place to educate. Exactly. Just all yelling in the background, chasing cattle while we're talking.
Listen, rodeos could be some of the gayest places, and I love it.
Candace wants to know how you're up so early, because weren't you karaokeing last night?
Candace, let me tell you, I wasn't karaokeing last night. I wasn't. I was working for a little bit, but I was up doing paperwork and lists and things for this weekend. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think everybody says, so we'll talk about what you're going to do this weekend in a moment, but welcome to Virtual Coffee Club, my friends. Please say hi in the comments as you join us, especially if you're brand new. I know we've had a lot of newbies lately, so let us know where you're hanging out from, and welcome. It's Fuck It Friday, so we're carefree. The wind is blowing through our hair. We got this, right?
That's right.
And I'm so excited to have Tom Barker back hanging out with us again this morning. Tom wears a variety of hats. He is the diversity creative director with an amazing company called Key Instincts. He is also the world's greatest drag queen named Birthday Girl. And you're an organizer of a big street festival this weekend with the group Okotoks Pride. And that's just like 3 of the 500 things that he does. So thank you for hanging out with us this morning.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I love it. I love you. I will always be here with you. So.
I know. It's always so great. But it's June, and we have you on at the beginning. I think we've had you on at the beginning of June. I feel like this is year 3 of our tradition of getting together and connecting and talking about Pride Month. And I will forever have that conversation every single year, the more that we can educate people. And I was doing a little bit of research in sharing some posts that I know that you are well educated on as a diversity coach. But the thing that I found sort of staggering that I shared on my Facebook on the 1st of June was that suicide is the 2nd highest cause of death for youth. So that's really like youth becomes a gamut of ages, but it's really kind of 10 to 24 is where they sort of see that. And when it comes to any youth who are in the LGBTQ IA2S plus, I get them all. I'm learning.
Yeah.
That amount, that rate, that statistic, that percentage increases exponentially. And that to me became, as an ally, something that I really felt so strongly about, because the post that I had shared is that there's people who think that they would be better off dead than living in their true authentic self. And that breaks my heart, Tom, like that's a real statistic. And I know that when people don't understand, sometimes a confused mind just says no, and people don't understand what Pride Month is about. But I wanted you to kind of share with us your thoughts and feelings on why Pride Month is also so very important to educate others.
Yeah, there's a thing kind of in the gay community where we say Pride Month was not brought to you by corporations, and it wasn't, it's not. Pride Month is an opportunity for, yes, everybody to share their allyship and do all of those things. And I think now that there's such a global, in fact, I'm not going to say global, a North American kind of thing of campaigns. You see Bud Light, you see a lot of those places doing big campaigns, and they say Pride Month brought to you by and whatever. It's amazing, and it's definitely a step forward. However, it's important with Pride Month that you remember kind of where it started and where it came from. And it's always important to remember that it started with a riot, and it started with violence, and it started as a protest, and it still continues to be that. Pride festivals in themselves are protests. It's still about showing, not even necessarily showing off the community or anything. It's about queer people.
Yeah.
It's about us being able to celebrate who we are just in general. It started with riots in Stonewall. I think I've said this Stonewall thing many times.
We'll say it every year.
Yeah. And it's important to remember that the first brick, or some of the first bricks, were thrown by trans women of color. And it's important that as we move through Pride Month, and we're cognizant of what's happening in the world right now as far as trans rights and people of color and what they're going through, and yet the same corporations that will donate or be involved with gun laws and things like that are also the same ones that also piggyback on Pride Month. And so when you're donating to or corporations are helping out let's say lawmakers that actively create anti-trans laws, then piggyback on Pride Month, that's what Pride Month is about. It's about recognizing what is happening there, and then how do we go about it and change it. So it's still a protest, and it's still, and this, I know this is a convoluted way of kind of explaining it, but it's about that in a nutshell. So
one, I think too, I really liked when we were talking last year is that it also, people were, I think the questions come up every year for people as we continue to educate. So it probably feels like you're a broken record in saying the same things over and over again. But we know that repetition creates like memory, to create action, to create moving forward. So we'll talk about it again. But the conversation we had last year that I know I had people reach out to me that was really touching was the importance of a rainbow sidewalk. And you had talked about how for especially when we look at with that youth perspective, it's about them recognizing their safe spaces in their community. And we didn't have that for a lot of years. I mean, you grew up in a small community. There wasn't a rainbow sidewalk in your community until a couple years ago. So talk a little bit about that, what recognizing that looks like for kids.
So rainbow sidewalks are, again, not for us to show off you know, it's not so we can say like, look, the rainbow, you know, that kind of thing. It's about showing kids in the community, or just actually people in general. I'm not even going to
Yeah,
say kids. It's about people in
just
general.
kids.
Yeah. When they're walking down the street, they can see that someone is here. There's someone around. It's kind of like when you know, when you lose a loved one, or you see something that reminds you of someone, or like triggers a memory for you or something like that. That's what sidewalks are supposed to do. And that's what they do for a lot of things. What I know, what we specifically talked about with kids is that um, kids can quite often feel, if they're already going through that um, journey of self-discovery, or figuring out exactly who they are or what part of the community that they belong to, that can be a really daunting thing. And when kids see things like a rainbow sidewalk, it does give them that little bit of hope, and it can push them, you know, to stick around one more day, or if they're really at a place where they just don't know what to do, rainbow sidewalks, or just sidewalks in general, we have trans sidewalks and pan
Yeah,
sidewalks, bisexual sidewalks. It's they play that really important role. So um, yeah, sidewalks are popping up everywhere, and they still continue
yeah,
to be vandalized, but it's important that they're there.
yeah. Well, we can't erase ignorance, but we can sure try. We
Well,
can
and
sure
that's the
try.
thing. And you know what?
Yeah,
I will continue to paint and paint and paint. I got paintbrushes everywhere. So, you
yeah.
know,
When
yeah.
I think too, it's worth talking, like, not only are we focusing on sort of that education and that piece for youth, but it also becomes really important for those recognition pieces for adults who maybe have kept that a secret or kept it hidden, or were
Mhm.
unsure, or weren't ready to step into their true self. So it's offering them that safe space also.
100%. I um It's funny because what's kind of going on right now in the world is, or at least kind of in Canada, is um, there's like a big generational gap. Like it seems like there's like this kind of like dead air or dead
Yeah,
space between the kind of boomers, who are very much like the workers and the we own our homes and all of those things, and then there's millennials. I might screw this
yeah,
up because I always do. There's the millennials who are like, you know, those that like type of generation that were born without internet and now we live on the internet. You know, so we've seen the whole thing. And then there's like Gen Z, right? Is that how it
yeah.
goes, Gen Z? And then Gen
Sure.
Z are like, they're so forward, and they're like born queer, and they're like, they can live their entire identity all the way through. But these there's the Gen Zs don't really move out of those communities where they're available to just be themselves, and there's no problems. And I had this conversation with someone the other day where um, you might have seen the show Heartstopper on
No.
Netflix. I don't know if you've watched it, but if anybody's out there watched Heartstopper, it's effectively just in a brief synopsis. It's a story of two kids in high school, and it documents the process of falling in love in high school. That's about it. And I was chatting with someone who is in kind of that Gen Z sort of millennial type of area, and they say, I said, "Did you like Heartstopper?" Because I loved it and whatever. And they said, um, "No, like, I mean, I did that in high school too." Like, and then I was talking with another friend who was my age, and was like, and they were like, "I cried and I cried and I like it was so, you know." Um, and I was like, right there is the difference, because anybody who is like kind of 25 or older, we still went to school in those areas, and where you couldn't be openly gay, you couldn't
Yeah.
do those types of things in high school, myself being one of them. And now if you're kind of 24 or younger, you can. Like, their
Yeah.
schools are so progressive now. And so when I'm saying that there's a gap, there is a gap in that kind of education. There is a gap in mindset. There is a gap in and Pride Month again is
Acceptance.
helping
Yeah.
to, yeah, right, it's helping to fill that gap. So again, convoluted answer to your question, but yes.
What I was thinking that in, did you watch the Downtown Abbey movie?
No. Not yet.
Okay. You have to. It's lovely. If you watch the series, you'll like it. But there is a scene in the movie where two men go into what would be the secret place where those who were gay went in that time frame. You think back of the time era of when Downton Abbey
Oh my gosh,
took
yeah.
place, right? And they end up like the police come in and they raid it, and all of the men in there get arrested, and the one guy gets rescued out and kind of starts this romance with another man. But he says in it, there was a line that stuck out to me. He's like, "Do you think they're ever going to accept people like us?" Right. And think of that time frame. And it just hit me. And knowing our conversation was coming up today, that I was like, man, it's made leaps and bounds since then, but there's still pieces and places to go with it.
For sure. Yeah. There's so much further to go, but I will say, yes, we have come so far.
Yeah.
So
it's good. Yeah. All right. We want to be conscious of time for people. And there is a big Okotoks Pride Street Festival that is happening this weekend that I think you've been burning the candle at both ends, planning and organizing. Tell us about what's happening this weekend so anybody who's in the Okotoks area can pop down and have some fun.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I don't even know where to begin. This is all that's been swirling in my mind for weeks now. So it's called the first annual Together with Pride Street Festival. There's so much going on that we have 2 stages. We're shutting down Elizabeth Street in Okotoks from Veterans Way to Elks Avenue. And we've got like I said, we have 2 stages. We've got a market. We have a resource fair. So if anybody is out there who is looking for queer resources, or if anybody has like a child or a family member or something and they want to figure out how they can help them, the resource fair is a fabulous way to go. There's going to be the family resource centers and a few other amazing, a skipping stone will be there for trans affirming care, that kind of stuff. There's going to be a kid zone so you can bring your kids. There's also going to be, oh gosh, what else do we got? I got 2 food trucks. I've got beer garden. God,
there's comedians, there's stand-up, there's drag shows, there's Zumba and pounds.
Seriously, yes, exactly. And there's the show is a grand finale drag show. So you bring your little camping chair and you bring your blanket and you come and you sit and you watch the show.
Awesome. So if people want to check out, because I'm sure you have a place where there's times and stages and info, because we could rattle it all off, but we'll all forget by the end of the conversation. Where do people go to get all the details for this?
So you can go to Okotoks Pride on any social media platform, Facebook, Instagram. We might have a Twitter. I don't know.
Facebook and Instagram for sure.
Literally, for sure. Go to Facebook and Instagram. All the info is there. OkotoksPride.com also. I do also have a page called The Queen Birthday Girl, and you can check everything out there as well. Because I've shared it all around. And yeah, I believe that's where you can find it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. It was OkotoksPride.com.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
If you can't see it on the website, just link through to the social media from the website.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to see it there.
Bannering it. So check that out. Awesome.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a great weekend. This is exciting. I don't know. Let's circle back to like 13, 14-year-old Tom. Did he ever imagine having where the downtown of your community is shut down for a Pride Festival? Did he envision that ever?
Yeah. Oh my God, no. I mean, listen, I didn't come out until I was 18. So 13 and 14 that's right around the transition into high school, I believe, right?
Yeah. Well, you're kind of like grade 7, grade 8. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I blacked out for the first 16 years of my life.
All right, then let's circle back to like 17-year-old Tom. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, it's really incredible. I mean, when I moved to Okotoks in 2008 from England, it's to see the amount of changes that this community has gone through, and even the surrounding, like High River, Black Diamond, Turner Valley, Diamond Valley now. It's incredible to see the changes, to see how progressive their governments have become, to see how progressive a lot of the local businesses have become. It's just, it's so freaking cool, and I'm so excited about it. So
Yeah. That. One
yeah.
last thing I want to touch on before I let you go is you
Okay.
talked earlier a little bit about how Pride Month isn't brought to you by corporations and it becomes a marketing piece. But is there
Yeah.
some comfort for your community in that do those feel like corporations that are safe? Do we still have to do a little bit of research there? Does it allow people to feel like there's options for them? Like, I feel like
Mhm.
if you saw a company that is promoting that, you'd feel like, okay, I feel safe to go shop at that company or get service from that company. Is there a comfort there, or is it still a little bit cautionary, or is
Um,
it both?
I would say, I would say that, um, I would say do your research. And it's
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to crap on organizations that
No, and I
want
don't
to show
either,
their
but
support,
yeah.
right? But what it comes down to is, yes, if you do see somewhere that's promoting pride, especially if it's local, or even like a mid-sized type of business, you're probably good to go because their staff have probably been like filled in on what's happening. They've probably been um, educated on what's happening and all of that kind of stuff. It's those big, massive. I was like, for example, um, I will say Old Navy is one of the. I'm not going to say they're a bad one or anything like that. It's just that they're a massive size company, um, and yet they still don't bring. Uh, for example, how can I put this into words? They don't. You got me so early this morning. I'm like
I
brain
know,
full.
I know.
Um, some companies will do a pride campaign and then they'll also make an actual tangible action that
Yeah.
complements their pride campaign.
Like
And
if
what I'm,
there was a section in their store that was really genderless,
for sure,
that would be an example of what they could do. Is
yeah, and
that what you
Target
mean?
is a yeah, Target is a really great example of this. They they do their pride collection every year and they bring out their their t-shirts that say pride on them and whatever else, but they also started to bring out and put in stores things like binders, um,
Mm.
for trans men. They started to bring out things like that, and so that's an actual tangible item that directly benefits the community, that is normalizing things like binders. It's okay to do that, and if you don't know what a binder is, Google it or reach out to me,
Yeah.
but um, it's
Yeah. Okay. I like that example. That makes sense
yeah,
to me. And I think too, recognizing that there's lots of companies that also support the community that might not throw
yeah,
up something during Pride, but like it doesn't make it that you're for or against. It's still
exactly.
learning as we go. But it is
Yeah,
nice to see that more companies are recognizing that and hopefully making changes, like you said, like Target does. That's a really cool example to think
yeah,
about and to educate, because I think, especially if you're not directly in that community, or if you don't, maybe you don't have someone close to you that's in the community, you don't know what you're looking for of what real support looks like. And so the more we
exactly.
can learn, the more we can be advocates of that also.
Exactly. And what we say at Key Instincts too when we're talking about these types of things is, um, go up to a staff member or whoever, if you want to shop at a place because they have a pride campaign out front or something like that, go up to a staff member and ask them, what are you doing for pride? What are you doing? Because and it's not rude, it's not mean, it's not anything like that. It's
We're
that they're
asking
doing
curiously. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And if that staff member can give you or get you an answer, then you can choose whether you're going to shop there or not. It's okay to ask those types of questions. It's okay to reach out to someone. Like that's exactly what I do every day of my life.
Yeah.
Um, it's okay to ask those questions. It's okay to not shop somewhere because of their pride campaign. If you feel it's not inclusive enough for you, it's okay not to shop there.
When I feel like that's a good segue to even just do it like a shameless plug of if you're a business owner or an organization or someone who wants to learn more, Tom with Key Instincts, this is what their company does is diversity education. And you can have
Mhm.
Tom come in and help your company make sure you've got the right language, make sure you've got the right onboarding, make sure your human resources is on par with the changes in our world, make sure you can educate your staff on what that looks like for your company. Because I think of, even when you're like, okay, ask a staff member. Well, if someone from the top down, depending where you're shopping, if it's a big place or small, might not have expressed what that looked like. So even as if you're somewhere where you work somewhere, ask your boss, ask your supervisor, ask the CEO, where do we really stand on those opportunities? And know that if it's in a place where you're like, I'm a little unsure, because I think a lot of times and you and I have talked about this before, when people are unsure what to say or how to say it, you say nothing at all because you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. Whereas if you're saying something with honest intention and compassionate curiosity behind it, that's education, and that's beautiful. And you're allowed to say the wrong thing to learn how to say the right thing.
Exactly. And I mean, that's why, like I said, like I got friends that will call me and be like, I'm in this situation right now. What do I do? Or like,
that's me. Like, Tom, give me the words. How do I do this right?
And I will be the wind beneath your wings. I
literally right now.
Literally. Yeah. It's, I mean, yes, ask the questions and just say something. That's all the community asks for a lot of the time, is just say something.
Look, your best friend Mike's just sitting back there.
I know. Look at my best friend Mike.
Wave to everyone, Mike. Somebody wrote, Candace said hi, Kaden. She saw you walk by the screen.
Who's Candace?
Candace. I don't think it matters. He's probably just like, is she about 13? Is she hot? That's really what he's asking.
God.
Now he's mad at me. We're good. It's been a good day so far. Well, I'm going to be conscious of people's time, and yours, especially going into this busy weekend. But thank you, as always, for jumping on to continue this conversation. And anytime that we can share messaging and info, this space is open to you and anyone else. So
for sure. And thank you. So, I mean, you're such a fierce ally of the community, and you're just a fierce ally of community in general, and by proxy, what's here. And I mean, you're amazing, and thank you for having me every single year. And you continue to have these conversations day in and day out with me, and I just love it, and I love you. So
I love you back. Well, have an amazing weekend. I'm sorry that I'm not there to partake in any of these festivities, but
she's gonna be eating pie.
Yeah, that's right. Like Handhills, one of the things about this rodeo is it's famous for its pie. And I remember one of the first years Mike and I were here, and he thought it was like the church women's group who made all these pies. And so he'd be like thanking all these church women for making the pies. Turns out it's one guy, and he makes like what? So like thousands of slices of pie.
Oh my God.
But the thing is, this pie, like you dream about it all year. And we haven't been here for 3 years because of COVID. So there's a lot of pie to make love to this weekend. That's what I'll be doing. Sorry to my son who just heard me say that, but this is what I mean.
Listen, Pride Month, during Pride Month, it doesn't matter what you put in your mouth. But
plug your ears, Kaden. All right. Well, I'm going to choose pie because it's so good this weekend. You choose what you want. Make good choices. And have an amazing weekend.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much, Jody. And I just love you. Have so much fun in Handhills.
I will. Okay. We'll see you later. Have a good day, everybody. Bye. Cheers to you. We will be back Monday morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Well, we might even come on tomorrow morning. We'll see. It'll be a surprise. I'm not going to commit right now because there's a cabaret. But we might connect you tomorrow morning and talk about the rodeo. If not, we will be back Monday morning at 9 a.m. That was really hard for me to spit out. Okay.
Okay, it's early.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend. Thanks for being here.